National anthem means we're just about set to get things underway. Diane Penner will be your R1. She'll be up on the ladder. She worked the 12 o'clock game as well. She is your R1, 32 years as an official. Kim Chrisman is your R2. First match she has worked today, 27 years as an official. So again, it'll be number 1, Bob Jones, number 8, Randall. It's a rematch of the 2018 Men's National Basketball Championship in this venue that Randall was able to prevail in for a 3rd straight national championship. Trey Snead, their 3-time National Player of the Year, with a couple huge buckets down the stretch that proved to be the game winner. And Nate Ellenwood, the Bob Jones University point guard, was absolutely phenomenal in that one, phenomenal in that whole championship, and excited to see what he can do here in 2018-19 as well. And when you talk about Vicki Denny, 62 years old, 35th season, 14 national titles. I'll give you the stat on Vicki Denny as we researched it that blew us away. 35 years, she has averaged 30.5 wins a year for 35 years. And is winning here at Bob Jones. You'd think, boy, we're starting intercollegiate volleyball. We're going to take our lumps for a while. He's got a winning record here in year 3 at Bob Jones as well. And obviously the expectations a little bit different than the last couple years. Now as the number 1 seed, 31-5 on your home floor, with a couple big recruits coming in, Brooke Beaver, an All-American to name one of them. I think there's some big expectations for this Bob Jones team, and it'll be interesting to see how they respond, and in particular maybe in this opening set, how they respond against number 8 Randall. So Bob Jones on the near side of your screen is the number 1 seed. Navy blue uniforms with the Carolina blue numbers, and Randall University, the 8th seed, out of Moore, Oklahoma, one of the at-large teams in this tournament, on the far side of your screen. And an attack there by Brooke Beaver. Beaver, the first team All-American from Kissimmee, Florida, 3.2 kills per set. Graduated high school with an associate's degree. And how long will she be at Bob Jones, Vicki Denny? She said at least a couple years. And it's early 3-1, Bob Jones. Received by the Bruins and punched over the net by Beaver, and that cross-court attempt was too strong, and it's now 3-2. And the side out stays with the Saints. Back row, that's Courtney Bates, one of their outside hitters. It's a dig there by the libero Wedman. Scooped up back row by Bates, who tries to get out of the way for a good one. Libero Selena Walker. Handled by Walker. Now an attack attempt here from Randall. And a swing there by 14, Mindy Stewart. Stewart, as we said, one of 2 returnees on this team from a year ago. Punched over by Walker, and it's going to drop in as it hung on the tape and got down in front of Vivian Roberts. Maybe the most amusing part of this storyline, as we talked to Mike Freeman, he said, Rick, we're down to 7 girls. We've got Vivian Roberts at 4'11", 4 feet 11 inches, playing in the front row. And he said for a while she was intimidated, and then said, Coach, I'm going to embrace this opportunity. I realize next year there's no way, as you kind of start recruiting. He got hired late in the process and has a huge club volleyball presence up there in Oklahoma City. He actually runs the club volleyball program that's the longest running volleyball club in the state of Oklahoma. So Mike Freeman is going to have no trouble finding recruits. And so Vivian Roberts, with a smile on her face, said, Coach, I should embrace this because I will never probably play front row again. And Mike Freeman said, you're right. So you'll see Vivian Roberts up front now, front left position at 4 feet 11. She will battle, as will the rest of this Randall team. Stein setting up Stewart, and Mindy Stewart a little bit too strong. And it is quickly 7-2. The Bruins by 5. It's Brooke Beaver, as we said, the first team All-American. And had an overpass that, boy, Bates could not take advantage of. And it's going to drop for a Randall point. Boy, if you're Courtney Bates, you'd like to have that one again. Put it right out there for you. The sophomore from Prairie Farm, Wisconsin. Just could not finish. Sydney Bolin to serve here. And now Bolin with a dig. Stein. And punched over the net by 11, Charity Burdett. Swing down that line is placed perfectly. That's a kill for Laura Gaston. Gaston, a right side player that moved to the middle a year ago. She's a more natural right side, and the emergence of some of their middles this year, and in particular Jordan Anderson, has allowed Gaston to go back to her natural spot on that right side. And that one all the way to the other end of the floor. Sydney Bolin had a little bit of trouble in that back row. So it's 10-3 here early. And Mike Freeman going to call a timeout and talk about it. Mike Freeman, as we said, 65 years old. He's got somebody pretty special on his bench as well. As Mike Freeman working with Kristen Macy this year. Macy averaged 3.6 kills a set, 22% attack percentage a year ago. She was a two-time first-team All-American and has agreed to kind of help this program this season. There was even talk maybe that she would be the head coach, but I said, I'm not ready for that just yet. So really has spent a lot of time with Charity Burdett. She's the player that I don't want to say they're most excited about. That may not be fair to say, but as a second-team All-American, team leader in kills with 3.2, fifth nationally in that statistical category. She is somebody that Kristen Macy has been investing a lot in and trying to push her to that next level, that Kristen Macy level, and she has done a good job. She has responded to that. And again, the head coach talking about our friend Mike Freeman, 65 years old, 66 wins, 161 losses, a 49% winning percentage. He went 49-77 in 5 years at Mid-America Christian University and 17-18 here in year number 1 at Randall. He is the fourth Randall volleyball coach in the last 5 years. Dug up back row by Rachel Williams. Right side, Gaston had to move to her right to swing at that one. Around the antenna, cut shot up front, handled by the Bruins. And there's an attack and a kill from 4'11" Vivian Roberts, getting it done up front. So the lead now is 6, 10-4. Bruins by a half dozen. Selena Walker, Williams, left side it's Bates. Tight to the net, and it'll drop in for a Bob Jones point. Vicki Denny, 62 years old, 14 national championships, 13 of them at Clearwater Christian, and one of them at Maranatha back in 1987. Maybe most staggering, we talked about how well she has started out here at Bob Jones. She is winning 72% of her matches here at Bob Jones. Folks, that's unheard of when you are starting a program from scratch. Battle up front, Catherine Ring, second-team All-American in there, causing havoc. Left side, too strong on an attack attempt there from Charity Burdett. (13-4), lead is 9. Back row received there by Maddie Wedman. Selena Walker hustled to get to that one, setting up Ring, who dropped it in. So Catherine Ring, the sophomore from right here in Greenville, daughter of Director of Athletics Neil Ring, makes it a 10-point Bruins lead, 14-4. Received by number 8, Randall, punched over the net, and they're going to say it was in. Dropped in from Charity Burdett. I thought maybe that was a little bit wide left, but our linesman right on top of it. And it's now 14-5. Ready is Vivian Roberts, received by Walker. Rachel Williams setting up Ring. Dug up by Roberts. Stein down the line. Punched over by Burdett. Little setter dump. Good effort by Roberts to get there. Back row attack by Sydney Bolin. Controlled by Bob Jones. And dropped in eventually by Courtney Bates. Bates, a first-year player, actually enrolled at Bob Jones last year in the spring. Kind of took over that outside hitter spot when Erin Jarvis went down with her second ACL tear. Feel for that young lady who had an outstanding campaign a season ago. Tore her ACL in the offseason, worked really hard to get back, and then tore it again. Tore the other ACL later in the year. So they hope to get her back next year. Only a junior, so she will have one more season, and she could appeal to the NCCAA to try to get this season as well. We asked Johnny Gamet how many games she had actually appeared in, and the answer appears to be 8, which would be more than what the NCCAA allows, but very gracious organization that many times will grant you that year of eligibility. I'll point to Bernard Smith up at Grace Christian University in Grand Rapids, All-American basketball player that had a similar situation a year ago, was a game or two too many in terms of the amount that you can play, appealed to the NCCAA and granted him that year of eligibility back. So pushed over the net by Bolin. Bates, Williams, punched over by the freshman Beaver. Scooped up there by Randall, and a back row attack there by Charity Burdett. Ring punches it over into the middle, and Ring says thank you very much. No, they keep it alive. And that one swung on by Williams, kept alive. Burdett with a back row attack. Touched up front and drops in anyway. There were 2 or 3 times I thought there was going to be a point. 3 kills now. I think Mike Freeman wants another timeout in a 17-6 match. Going to try to settle his troops a little bit. And Mike Freeman, a couple stories on him. About 48 hours before they were set to come here on a charter bus, he found out the bad news that there was no charter bus and that they would be taking vans 16 hours. Tried to have fun with it. When we talked to him, he said, yeah, Rick, I think there's a place called Bucksnort, Tennessee. And that's where we're going to spend Monday night. And I asked him when I saw him at the banquet, what was the significance of, did you end up staying there? Yeah, we did. What was the significance? Oh, no significance. I just wanted the girls to be able to say someday that they stayed in Bucksnort, Tennessee. So that's where they stopped on Monday night and made the rest of the trip in on Tuesday. So, coached, as we said, at Mid-America Christian University, used to be an NCCA Division II school. Back in the late 90s, they actually hosted the men and the women's basketball tournament simultaneously at the D2 level. Willie Holly, the athletic director that ran that operation back then. Willie has since retired a couple years ago, and when you stay as long as he does, they typically put your name on the court, and they did that at Mid-America Christian University. Touch up front, and it's going to drop in for a Randall point. So Mike Freeman calls a timeout and gets a point coming right out of that timeout. It's now 17-7, and in this scenario, you're probably not going to win the opening set, but if you're Mike Freeman and Kristen Macy, you're looking for a little bit of momentum to go and build on heading into that second set. Little quick set as they try to feed Melinda Stewart, and it's going to lead to a point. So they change tempo a little bit. Stein feeds Stewart, and the sophomore from Mustang, Oklahoma, has made it now 17-8. Ready to serve here is a libero, Maddie Wedman, the freshman also from Mustang, Oklahoma. He's assumed that libero role late in the year. Sydney Bolin had it earlier in the year. Bolin now an outside hitter, and I think the word is you better be versatile if you're on this Randall team with 7 players. You better be able to play just about anywhere because you're going to play just about anywhere. Rachel Tubbs Williams with the ball here, going to serve it. Was married last December. Didn't think she was going to play volleyball this year. Went to Vicki Denny with a week left in the spring semester and said, I'd like to play. Had missed all of spring volleyball. And Vicki Denny said, we're going to have a meeting with the team. It'll have to be unanimous that they want you back. And they voted, and it was unanimous that Rachel Tubbs Williams would be back this season. Some things had changed. Husband got a little bit better job. Obviously, there's a lot of concerns when you get married and wasn't ready to commit to coming back. And boy, she has had a fantastic senior season. The senior from Davenport, Iowa. Played 1 year at Trinity up in the Chicago area. Punched over by Bolin, who tried to find a gap, and I think she did. Going to call a double hit on one of the Bruins. And it's now 19-11. And again, if you're Mike Freeman, you're just trying to get something positive to head into that second set. Down the line, feeding Burdette. Touched up front, and a double hit going to be called. And it's now 20-11. Serve here in the hands of Jordan Anderson, junior from San Antonio, Florida. Nice dig by Beaver in that back row, or good effort, dig attempt as it didn't stay in play. Substitution for Mike Freeman as he brings back in Gabby Methy, the middle hitter. Maddie Wedman, the libero, sits down. Williams, little give and go, feeding Bates, scooped up by that Randall back row. Stewart at the very last minute punched it across. Bates dug up again by Stewart. And a little setter dump placed absolutely perfect. Erica Stein, the junior from Arlington, Texas, 7.2 assists per set, 9th nationally. Rachel Williams, by the way, 9 assists per set, is the best in America. And that shot by Catherine Ring is in that back left corner, absolutely perfect. Ring with 2 kills in this opening set. And it's now 21-13. The Bob Jones lead is 8. This is Lauren Muckenschnabel. They call her Muck here at Bob Jones. Playing back row. Serve specialist as Bates attacks and kills. Vicki Denny knew how to say her name. She had taught phys ed to Muckenschnabel's dad 40 years ago in Chicago. Knew exactly how to say it. Muckenschnabel ready again. Received on that back row by Bolin. Tight to the net, a battle up there. In the mix was Gabby Methy from Randall, who kept it alive. Opportunity here for the Saints around the antenna, Burdette, and it's a solo block by Rachel Williams, who stuffed it back onto the Randall side. And it's point for the Bruins, and their lead now is 10. It's 23-13. Here in the opening set. Received back row by Bolin. Stein feeding Methy, controlled by the Bruins, and punched over by Courtney Bates. Around the antenna, Burdette, battle near the net, Williams. Little setter dump of her own. Vivian Roberts found a gap in that defense. Well, she may be 4'11", but she's finding gaps right now, Kent Delosier. It's her second kill in this first set. So 23-14. And Roberts will serve it here. Beaver, the freshman, to Williams. Now a flat-footed attack by Courtney Bates, and that one never got there, and it's now 23-15. Ready again is Roberts, true freshman. Best server on this team, can go float serve or jump serve. Cook's choice. She'll beat you either way. Roberts to Stein. Again, feeding Burdette. Went down the tape momentarily. Ring with a slide attempt, scooped up by the Randall libero, and Catherine Ring with a solo block that's going to give the Bruins another point and make it 24-15. So this is set point here in the opening set. Number 1, Bob Jones. Number 8, Randall University. 2018 NCCA Division II National Championship from here at Bob Jones. And that line shot is wide right. And that's how this opening set is going to end. The Bruins impressive as they knock off Randall 25-16 here in set number 1. So Bob Jones with the opening set win. We'll have set number 2 after this timeout here on the NCCAA Sports Network. So 25-16, the Bruins win in set number 1. As we head to set number 2, it's the second of 4 matches here on court number 1 here today. We've already had a couple matches in the books. Number 2, Maranatha knocked off number 7, Arlington, out of that Southwest region. Same region as Randall University, beat them in straight sets, but Arlington made it interesting. 26-24, 25-22, 25-21. A straight set winner. Number 3, Geneva, straight set winner on court number 2 over number 6, Toccoa. Scores that we have from that one, 25-17, 25-17, and 26-24. Toccoa led late in that third set. I want to say it was 24-22 at one point, and I think Geneva scored the final 4 points of that set to win that third set and win in straight set. So Geneva to 1-0, Toccoa to 0-1 in Pool B play. Maranatha also in Pool B goes to 1-0, and Arlington Baptist goes to 0-1. If you're Toccoa or Arlington in that bracket, you got to win against one of the Goliaths. You got to beat either Maranatha or Geneva is what you would expect to get to that national semi. And I'd say the same thing about Randall University right now. Down 0-1, you want to play well in this opening match, but if you lose to Bob Jones, you just understand that you've got to knock off Emmaus. That's likely what has to happen. Obviously, you've got to beat Johnson, the 5 seed in Pool A play, but you're going to have to knock off either number 1 Bob Jones or number 4 Emmaus, and that's going to be a challenge too. Neil Pittman named the National Coach of the Year last night. Hannah Postma, his All-American setter, named the National Player of the Year. So a dubious task either way, whether it's number 1 Bob Jones or number 4 Emmaus. That game, by the way, between Emmaus and Randall is at 6 p.m. tonight on court number 2. Into the middle, Stewart with her first attack attempt of the second set. And she drops it in. Attack percentages in that first set. Randall only 7%. Bob Jones 27%. Probably the only stat that you need to see right there as another point for the Bruins. Individual numbers, Mindy Stewart with 4 kills on 18% hitting. Courtney Bates, one of their outside hitters, 5 kills, swinging at a 31% clip. Give you some Rachel Williams numbers after the next stoppage. Punched over on a flat-footed attack by Vivian Roberts. Back set here. Bates tried to strike again, this time scooped up by Bolin in that back row. Little jump punch by Bolin into the middle and punched by Catherine Ring, who strikes again. Rachel Williams, some individual numbers on their All-American. No kills in that first set, but did have 10 assists. So a good job by her. She had a block in that opening set as well. Stein down the line. Burdette. Boy, that set was off the mark. And Burdette still able to kind of move to her left in midair. And had the athleticism to get there and still keep it in bounds. That was well done. Charity Burdette showing her athleticism on that one. Punch down the line. Emergency contact. Can they get it over? No. Boy, good effort there by Vivian Roberts and Erica Stein. Did everything they could to keep that one alive. The Bruins have taken a 4-2 advantage here in the second set. Any other stats that jump out here to you? Kent Delozier running down to the floor after every set to get us a stat sheet. You're not doing that for the next 13 matches. I'm just announcing that right now. We're finding an 18-year-old runner in this gymnasium Plus, there's half of these stairwells are locked. We're on lockdown here, and he's got to like walk around the entire facility to get down there and get a copy of those stats. We joked that we're just going to drop a rope, and they can kind of pin the stats to the rope. And anyway, appreciate his efforts, and that one out of bounds, and another point to Bob Jones. Diane Penner, your R1 up on the ladder. Refereed the Maranatha-Arlington game earlier, 32 years as an official. Kim Chrisman is your R2, 27 years. Down the line, emergency contact by Muckenschnabel, but goes into the curtain that separates court 1 from court 2, and it's a point for the Saints from Randall University, formerly Hillsdale Free Will Baptist College, out in Moore, Oklahoma, suburb of Oklahoma City. I asked Mike Freeman about that, my geography in Oklahoma lacking. So now, did you have to relocate for this job? How did that work? You know, I'm still sleeping in my same bed. I think Mid-America and Randall, like 5 or 6 miles apart. It's kind of an area out there where you're playing against some of the best small colleges in the country. I think the Sooner Athletic Conference out there, there is no rest for the weary. Night in and night out. Playing some of the best colleges in America in any sport. Good effort here by Stein. Did it go around the antenna? No. Not only did she get there, but the right-handed hitting Stein went to a left hand on that one. Even though that didn't count as a point, that was outstanding effort. Bruins by 5 here in set number 2, and that's a service error there. Out of the hand of Abby Plew, the 5'9" freshman from Anderson, Indiana, who has really started playing some good volleyball late in the year, a counting major that has appeared in 54 of 119 sets. And boy, Catherine Ring is doing it again. 2 kills there, and she's, what's the word I'm looking for? She is taking advantage. Doesn't get a ton of opportunities. Very efficient would be a good word to describe Catherine Ring here in these first 2 sets. Received back row by Burdette. Stein on a back set and an attack up front by Gabby Methy. Controlled by Bob Jones. They show Methy and they feed Sydney Bolin on the perimeter, and Bolin strikes again. Methy will sit down as Mindy Stewart will check back in. Stewart didn't think she was coming back after the semester. She looked at Mike Freeman and I thought gave him maybe the biggest compliment a coach can get, as some emergency contact here by Randall. And Burdette comes up empty, but she looked at her head coach and said, "Coach, I want you to know that volleyball is fun again." Having a good time, and wasn't always the case. And sounds like Mindy Stewart going to be at Randall University moving forward. Left-handed attempt there, a little center dump by Erica Stein. It drops in. Second time in about 3 possessions here we've seen Stein go to that left hand. Stein is ready here. Received back row by Bob Jones. Down the line, it's Beaver. Have not called her name in a while. Into the middle, Stewart. Attack handled by Bates for Bob Jones. Beaver now to Roberts, and Roberts too strong on that attack attempt. One thing that Mike Freeman talked about with stories like Vivian Roberts at 4'11" up front, kind of undersized, and just players playing out of position. He said, don't have to try to attack and score every time. Let's just keep the ball in play and make the defense make the mistake. And I know that that's not how most coaches teach. You want to attack and always be aggressive, but in this process right now where we're out of position, undersized, fighting for our lives at sometimes, let's not hand a point to them on a silver platter. Let's make them work, find gaps, find grooves, take something off of it, and let's try to make the defense make the first mistake. Received there by Burdette. Stein, back row attack by Bolin, who missed badly, and Bob Jones has opened up a 6-point lead. It's 13-7. Bruins won the opening set 25-16 on some pretty effective hitting. 27% as a team. They held Randall to only 7. And a touch up there has now made it 14-7. This is Jordan Anderson, the junior from San Antonio, and she'll serve it, but not before head coach Mike Freeman can call a timeout. The 2018 Volleyball Championship is brought to you by Aramark with expertise in food, uniforms, and facilities. Aramark lets you focus on what you do best. Aramark, we dream, and we do. For over 90 years, Bob Jones University equipping leaders to make a difference for the cause of Christ. You can find out more by visiting bju.edu. Bob Jones University, learn, love, and lead. I'll tell you, one of the teams, if you would have said to me, Rick Cooper, give me somebody in seeds 5 through 8 that you think could possibly make some noise this week, in our preparation, the team that kind of stood out to us as one of those teams that could do that was Johnson University. They bring a lot of players back. Their statistics look good. Thought they were battle-tested. And they have won an opening set on the other end of the floor as number 5 beat number 4 Emmaus 31-29. So it's just a set, but it's a start for Johnson University. Maybe now the king of that Mideast region, Bruce Dixon and Kentucky Christian. Well, Bruce Dixon retired. Jeffrey Huff and Kentucky Christian moving up to the NCCA Division I level, the NAIA as well, and really has opened up a door for Johnson to assert themselves as the cream of the crop in that region, and they have done that this year. Talking about battle-tested, Johnson University in their 2 opening sets at the Mideast Region Tournament against number 2 Grace got down 9-1 and 6-2 and came back to win both of those sets and eventually swept Grace Christian to punch their ticket to here at Bob Jones University. This is Mindy Stewart. Stewart 11 aces on the year, 108 out of 118 sets. Down the line, Burdette. Good left hand in that back row by the freshman Beaver. Bolin is going to set it up and then decided to wind and fire. An attack attempt and a dig attempt in that back row by Stein. And it'll go down as a kill for the Bruins, who are beginning to pull away here in set number 2. Back row specialist Lauren Muckenschnabel, the sophomore from Chicago, named a scholar athlete at last night's banquet. Left side, an attack up there by Randall, controlled by the Bruins. Pushed over the net, up front by Abby Plew, who is checked back in. It leads to a Randall point, 16-10. Make that 15-10. Again, we're at a horrible angle to see the big scoreboard here. Got to rely on the monitor next to us. And my eyes are just bad enough that I got to take an extended look sometimes, Kent DeLozier. Don't make fun of me. You are much older than I am, sir. 15-11. Ready is Vivian Roberts. Received back row by the libero Walker. A slide attempt by Catherine Ring, and she did it again. Third kill in this second set. Had 2 or 3 in that first set as well. And boy, again, does not get a lot of opportunities, but makes the most out of every one of them. Well done, Catherine Ring. Received in that back row by Sydney Bolin. Little give and go as they fed up there Gabby Methy. And Methy's attack attempt never got there. 17-11. Bruins looking to go to 32-5 on the year. Plew here, and it's going to go down as an ace as Roberts got a hand on it but could not do anything with it. 27 wins 2 seasons ago, 26 wins last year for Vicky Denny and Bob Jones, 31 already here in 2018. Hustling was Stein. Little slide attempt by Ring. This one scooped up by Walker. Left side, Beaver, a cut shot that hung on the tape and dropped in. Abby Plew. Got a lot of movement on this thing. Looks like a Phil Necro knuckleball as it drops in for an ace again. Causing all kinds of trouble, and I think Mike Freeman looking over at our R2 and saying, I'd like to talk about it. So timeout on the floor. We're in the second set. It's match number 2 of the day, and it is the number 1 overall seeded Bruins from here at Bob Jones University, leading number 8 Randall 20-11. It's the 2018 NCCAA Division II Volleyball Championship here on the NCCAA Sports Network. For over 90 years, Bob Jones University equipping leaders to make a difference for the cause of Christ. You can find out more by visiting bju.edu. Bob Jones University, learn, love, and lead. NCCAA National Championship action brought to you by Aramark, where we dream and we do. And for over 90 years, 50 years, thank you, thank you. 50 years, the NCCAA has been promoting outreach and ministry through athletic competition with a Christian perspective. You can find out more about the National Christian College Athletic Association, and you can do that by visiting the nccaa.org. What do you got over there, sir? Got anything interesting statistically that we can interject here? Plew, Ring, and Anderson with 3 kills apiece for Bob Jones in his third set. It was Beaver that led the way in the first set for Bob Jones with 4 of them. And that one too strong. Good decision in that back row by Muckenschnabel to let it go. And it's now 20-11, thank you. Scoreboard here in the arena says 21-11. And that one is too strong, and it's a service error that makes it 21-12. Mike Freeman still with a Magic Johnson smile on that Randall bench. I like that. Having a good time here is Catherine Ring. Trying to attack from that middle. It was a net violation. Never got over the net. It's now 21-8. 21-13, thank you. Scoreboard now good in this venue. Cross-court attack is too strong by the Bruins. 21-14. Again, you're trying to build something if you're Randall that you can build off of in the third set. Received here by Walker. Into the middle ring. Little dink over the net. Scooped up by Stein, the setter. Boland down the line. Handled by Plew. Attacking was Beaver with some heat, and she dropped it in. Not only was the attack powerful, the way she went after it, her pursuit, those 2 steps that she took to get to the volleyball were about as aggressive as anybody we've seen thus far. 22-14. Received back row here by Burdette. Little back set. Trying to set up Methy. Controlled by the Bruins. Little quick set and an attack in the middle. And Jordan Anderson strikes again. Anderson 2.3 kills per set. 27% attack percentage. And attack percentage is number 1 on the Bob Jones team. Float serve there. Scooped up by Vivian Roberts and punched over. And too strong. Randall asking for a touch, but well, they are going to give him the touch. Well, the R1 and R2 didn't give it to him. Must have been one of the linesmen that came in and said there was a touch. Oh, it was a player that called it. I like that even better. That's good stuff. That's what I do when I referee basketball games with little kids. Did you touch that? No. Trying to teach kids to have honesty and integrity, and I like that because the R1 and R2 did not see that touch. 23-16. Serve here coming out of the hands of Maddie Wedman, the Randall libero. Have to fade a little bit there was Beaver. Did not get much on it. Boland swings and fires. Touch up front by Rachel Williams, but nobody there to pick it up. And it's now 23-17. So the Saints looking for a little mini run here, trailing by a half dozen. Ready is Wedman. Received back row by Plew. Williams setting up Bates in the middle, controlled by the Saints, and a back row attack by Burdette. Williams down the line. Beaver and a dig in that back row by Burdette. Center dump by Stein, handled by the Bruins. An attack up front, touched by Stewart, and out of play. It's a Bob Jones point. It's 24-17, and this is set point. Muckenschnabel will sit down as they bring in somebody in the front row to try to finish it here. Stein well off the mark with that set attempt, and that's how that opening set, or the second set, is going to finish up. The Bruins 25-16 in set one. They win 25-17 in set number two. They'll try to win in straight sets. We'll have that third set for you coming up next here on the NCCAA Sports Network. Back here at Bob Jones University, the Bruins a 2-0 advantage in this best of five as they try to stay unbeaten against Division II schools here in 2018. The Bruins coming into this championship a perfect 12-0, 37-4 against Division II schools. That's a 90% winning percentage, and they come in winners of 15 in a row. Their last loss was almost 6 weeks ago. On October the 5th, a 5-set loss to Owens Community College, and that was one thing Vicki Denny talked to us about. She said, Rick, last year we played 10 5-set matches, and we finished 5-5 in those. It really helps get you battle tested. This year they only had 4 of them, and they were 2-2 in some of those matches. She tried to schedule a lot of challenges on her schedule, put a lot of Division III schools, but she said, maybe I didn't schedule as well as I thought as they kind of ran through a lot of those D3 schools in straight sets. And I think maybe that's the one question mark she gave us. I asked for some strengths of this team. She said, we're a year older, more experienced. We've really landed a couple big recruits. Brooke Beaver came to mind immediately. But the one question mark that maybe she has is, how battle-tested are we with only 4 5-set matches this year? And the last time they had one was the last time they lost. Again, 15 in a row heading into this one today. So there are so many staggering statistics, and Vicki Denny about as humble as they come. I shared the one with her last night. I said, Coach, do you realize for 35 years you've averaged nearly 31 wins a season? I mean, that's just unheard of. Selena Slate is the second winningest coach in this championship, and she is almost 700 wins behind the Hall of Fame head coach, Vicki Denny. So it gives you an idea of what she has done and how long she has done it. The Bob Jones alum, Vicki Denny. Here we go, third set, into the middle, first swing by Stewart. Bob Jones, the 1 seed on the near side of your screen, and Randall, the 8 seed on the far side, navigating the antenna. Sydney Boland, perfectly done, and it's 1-0 Saints. Randall still struggling, hitting the volleyball. 7% in that first set, only 6% as a team attacking in the second. Bates with a dig in that back row, down the line. That was Gaston, their right side player, controlled by the Saints. A little battle near the net. It's back and forth affair. Down that left side, it's Beaver with a cross-court attack, and they're going to say it was too strong. And so it's quickly 2-0 Saints. Trying to force this to a fourth set, trailing 2-0 here against the host school Number 1, Bob Jones University, and they're going to call a net violation here, as Jordan Anderson got a little bit excited on the overpass, tried to slam it down and got into the net in the process. Good hustle by Williams, setting up Beaver, and it goes down as an attack there for the Bruins. Touch up front, Stein couldn't do much with it in that back row, and it's now 3-1. Saints by 2. Beaver, battle, and a good dig up there by Selena Walker. Had the libero from Randall all twisted there, talking about Maddie Wedman. And it's now 3-2. Brooke Beaver, the first team All-American. Kind of the game-changing recruit that Vicki Denny felt like they needed to land. Punched over by Bates, or did she? No, never got there. 4-2 Randall. And a service error there by Sydney Boland makes it 4-3. This is Jordan Anderson. Vicki Denny calling her really the surprise of this season. Again, has really elevated her game in the middle. It allowed Laura Gaston to move over to that right side, and an attack attempt there that goes out of bounds, and it's 5-3 Saints. And the side out to Mindy Stewart, the middle hitter. Down the line, it's Bates, and out of system. A lot of watching there as Ring and Williams not on the same page, and it's quickly 6-3 Randall. Mindy Stewart, 11 aces on the year. That's an overpass. And Gabby Methi says thank you very much, and it's now 7-3, and Vicki Denny is going to call a timeout here in this third set. 2018 Women's Volleyball Championship is brought to you by Aramark. With expertise in food, uniforms, and facilities, Aramark lets you focus on what you do best. Aramark, we dream, and we do. I'd like to thank all of our sponsors who have helped with this national championship. Servant HR, Spinks, Aramark, Bon Secours, IntegraBank, and Pepsi. See what everyone's talking about in beautiful Greenville, South Carolina. Visit greenvillesc.com. From beautiful landscapes to a small town Main Street, it's no wonder people from all across the world are visiting. Check out Greenville, South Carolina. I've been able to check out much since we landed here. Didn't bring snow with us, but brought a ton of rain. Schools around here some of them were closed today. Some of them on a 2-hour late start because of flooding. I know folks back up in the Midwest had some closures and delays too, because that rain in Columbus, Ohio didn't come down as rain. It came down as ice and caused a lot of trouble. But there were some road closures today trying to get out to this facility. But fortunately, the best news of the day was that the rain was supposed to subside at about 11 o'clock this morning. And it should be a little bit cloudy today, and the sun is actually going to shine here on Friday or Saturday, and I can't be too critical. I don't see the sunshine for about 4 months up in central Ohio. 24-9, by the way, Emmaus all over Johnson on the other end of the floor. So looks like that match is going to go 1-1 and play at least 4. Randall with the early lead here in the third set, and it's now 7-5. The Bruins have cut it to within 2. Coming out of that timeout by Vicki Denny. Muckenschnabel, the back row specialist, is ready here. Received back row by Boland, down the line. Attack by Methi is controlled by the Bruins. Back row attack by Beaver. Scooped up by Wedman. And Vivian Roberts able to get it over the net. Controlled again by Bob Jones. Little setter dump attempt by Stein, and it yields dividends. Selena Walker lost a shoe, and she lost the volleyball out of bounds as well. Good effort by Walker. First time I think I've seen that, Kent Delosier. Good effort by Walker. She lost a sneaker. Now she's ready. Good play there by Erica Stein. Very crafty with either hand. That's one thing I picked up on. A couple plays she made with that left hand in that opening set, and another one of those setter dumps. And the key there is the trickery of it to catch them off guard. Right near that side wall, that baseline wall in the gymnasium. The Bruins keep it alive, but Charity Burdett says it doesn't matter because she hammers it home anyway, and it's 9-5 Randall. Freshman from Norman, Oklahoma, Vivian Roberts with the serve here. Back set to Ring and a slide attack, and she puts in another. Ring, an unusual story, was second team in the South region, but was also named a second team All-American. I meant to ask Vicki Denny about that this morning. We got talking about food, some local restaurants, and we never got there, but typically you've got to be a first team region performer to be eligible, and Ring gonna get another slide attempt here. This one controlled by Randall. Punched over Ring. Kept alive by Beaver and punched over by Selena Walker, the libero in that back row. Williams down the line, Beaver again. Tried to test the block. Randall able to keep it alive, and now what? Gonna give the side out to the Bruins. 9-7. Saints by 2. Courtney Bates, outside hitter with the serve here. And a misplay up front by Burdett has made this a 1-point game. It's 9-8. Bob Jones won the opening set 25-16. Won set number 2 25-17. Trying to win in straight sets here, just like number 2 Maranatha did a few moments ago, and an overpass there that Catherine Ring drops in without much resistance, and Mike Freeman says, I need a timeout, but the damage has been done as the Bruins have rallied back to make it 9-9 here in this third set. National Championship Volleyball action brought to you by our good friends at Aramark. Aramark, we dream and we do. For over 50 years, the NCCAA has been promoting outreach and ministry through athletic competition within a Christian perspective. You can find out more by visiting the nccaa.org. Next set of matches coming up, 4 p.m. local time here on court number 1. It'll be number 2 Maranatha, number 6 Toccoa Falls. Court number 2, did I say that right? Court 1, number 2 Maranatha, number 6 Toccoa Falls. And on the opposite end of this gymnasium, court number 2, it'll be number 3 Geneva and number 7 Arlington. The night games tonight are nightcap. 6 p.m., number 1 Bob Jones, number 5 Johnson out of Tennessee. On our end of the floor, court number 2, we'll have number 4 Emmaus and number 8 Randall. The matches that have us salivating as a play-by-play guy tomorrow, 10 a.m., number 2 Maranatha, number 3 Geneva, and then noon local time, number 1 Bob Jones and number 4 Emmaus. We'll have every one of those for you. And then the national semis tomorrow night at 5:30 and 7:30. National championship at 1 on Saturday here on the NCCAA Sports Network. Tied at 9 here in the third set, and that one, good effort by Burdett. How she got that one over the net and around the antenna. Bates down the line from Williams. It's Beaver. Dig by the libero. Line shot there by Burdett. Handled back row by Bates. Here comes Beaver, who took it right through the block attempt from Gabby Methy and strikes again. Fearless is the freshman. Brooke Beaver, second kill in this third set for Beaver. 8 for the match. Little left-handed setter dump, and it worked again. Allow me to say that one more time. Erica Stein about as good as they get doing that. And able to do it with either hand, left or right. Tied at 10. Burdett to the back row and Selena Walker. Muckenschnabel to Beaver. Kind of a flat-footed attack as she moved towards the net. Back row, Burdett, and she strikes again. So Charity Burdett from that back row line makes it 11-10 Randall. Her second kill. Received by Selena Walker into the middle ring off a quick set. Controlled by the Saints. And that one is out of play. Wide right down that sideline, right in front of the Bob Jones coaching staff. Lou Denny on that staff as well. I think 81 years young right now, one of the good guys. At this level, love every moment you get to spend with Lou Denny. Up front it's Stein, who tried another setter dump, and this time Walker was able to get to it. Stein, back row attack, Burdett, dug up by Walker, saved by Williams. Back row attack, it's Courtney Bates, battle near the net, and kept alive by the Bruins. Beaver. Dug up by Wedman. Wedman, some emergency contact, and it goes out of play. Yeah, Lou Denny in his 21st season. Also on that bench, Mark Corbin in his first year. Longtime high school coach that's now a PE teacher in the area. And Krista Schlichting was a player that Vicki Denny tried to recruit back in her Clearwater days years ago, assisting with this program here in 2018 as well. 13-11, Bruins by 2. Stein feeding Bolin, controlled by Bob Jones to the middle. It was Anderson, and the Saints stay with it. Attack from that back row, flat-footed by Burdett. Here comes Beaver, who finds a huge gap between the libero Wedman and Charity Burdett in that back middle spot. And boy, Bob Jones on a roll right now. Kind of run we got right there, Mr. Delosier. It's a 5-0 run. Bolin tested the block there as she met Williams. I believe that was Anderson at the net. They got the touch they wanted, but could not keep it in play. 14-12. Saints trying to hang around and force a fourth set here in their first match of this championship. Into the middle and into that back right corner. Nicely done by Anderson. Gaston will check in. Play that front right position as Muckenschnabel will sit down. Ready is Rachel Williams. Senior first-team All-American from Davenport, Iowa. Bolin another swing, and she was met at the net for an assisted block. This time it was Gaston and Anderson that slowed her down. And now it's 15-12. Bob Jones 10 points away from a straight set win. Into the middle, feeding Stewart. Touched up front, kept alive by the Bruins, and then dropped in by Beaver in that back left corner. That's Brooke Beaver's fourth kill in this third set. She has played very well. Serve stays with Williams. Free ball over the net. Can Bob Jones take advantage? Into the middle, Anderson went through the block attempt of Stein and Stewart, and it's now 18-12. Lead is a half dozen. Williams ready again. Stein went to the center dump, and they kept it alive, or did they? No, they're going to say it was a lift on the Bruins. So Erica Stein with another kill on her resume. And she'll serve it here. Walker with a little bit of trouble, out of system a little bit. No, they still got a pretty good attempt there by Anderson. Free ball over the net. Walker setting up Beaver. Scooped up by Burdette, trying to keep it alive. This one's got to get over the net, and it does. Into the middle, Anderson, and a fourth hit there as it never got there. So the Saints with a couple points in a row. And it is now 18-15. Erica Stein, one of two returnees for this Randall team from a year ago. Well, the big one they're missing from last year, besides Kristen Macy, who they knew they were going to lose, was going to graduate. Macy actually moved over to Randall so that she could play with her sister on last year's team. But boy, Tiara Misaraka was one last year as an outside hitter as a freshman that, boy, was going to be special, but has elected not to come back in 2018. Ready here is Stein. Back set by Williams, pushed over by Beaver, but right there to handle it, I think, was Bolin. Right side, Gaston dropped it in. Wasn't a whole lot on it, but the gap in the middle of that Randall defense was ginormous. 19-16 Bruins. 6 points away from wrapping this one up in straight sets and make it 5. As Wedman had trouble on serve receive, and I think Mike Freeman wants a timeout. Timeout on the floor. We're in the third set. 2018 NCCAA Division II Women's Volleyball Championship. Number 1, Bob Jones leading number 8 Randall 2-0. And they lead this third set 20-16 as you're watching the 2018 National Championship here on the NCCAA Sports Network. Women's Volleyball Championship coverage brought to you by Aramark with expertise in food, uniforms, and facilities. Aramark lets you focus on what you do best. Aramark, we dream, and we do. For over 50 years, the NCCAA has been promoting outreach and ministry through athletic competition in a Christian environment with a Christian perspective. You can find out more about the National Christian College Athletic Association, and you can do that by visiting the NCCAA.org. Executive Director Dan Wood and his wife Kelly at the tournament banquet last night. Always good to hear from him. And Ben Bellarmine, Director of Member Relations, just walked by us here in this gymnasium. Always good to see him as well. Do an outstanding job. And as we like to say, anytime you can merge athletics and Jesus, it's a good thing. 20-16. Little quick set in the middle as they try to get a quick one out of Stewart. Controlled by the Bruins. Attack on the other end, controlled by the Saints. And Walker gonna hustle near us here in the bleachers to try to keep that one alive, but could not do it. And it's now 20-17. Ready is Sydney Bolin. Received by the libero Walker. Williams, this is Anderson, a touch up front by Burdette. Down the line, that was 18 Bates. I thought it was Gaston for a minute, but it was Bates, and eventually a miscue there by Randall, and it's now 21-17. Walker will sit down as Catherine Ring is back in. So Gaston, Ring, and Bates up front. Rachel Williams will set from that back row. Big attack on a big swing by Burdette. Anderson looking to Bates. Her attack hit the net and eventually dropped in. 22-17, lead is 5. Ready here is Jordan Anderson. On receive, Vivian Roberts, and that one touched, and it'll go down as a much-needed Saints point to stop the bleeding here. 22-18, lead is 4. Bruins won the opening set 25-16. They won set number 2 25-17. They feed Ring in the middle, and she strikes again. Well, Catherine Ring has been sensational in this opening match. 23-18. I'm going to say hello to Jill Scalzitti over in Chicago, Illinois. Got connections to Muckenschnabel School there in the Windy City. So we appreciate you watching and supporting Muck and her efforts with the Bruins tonight. Now 23-18 scoreboard. Is that what that says, gentlemen? Is it 23 or 24? Slide attack. Scoreboard in the venue here says 24. Not sure if this is match point or not. We'll call it as if it's match point. And a little setter dump by Rachel Williams was off the mark, and it's now 24-19. And now our scoreboard has it right, so this is match point. Saints need to run off 5 in a row here to play a little bit of extra volleyball. Vivian Roberts, received by Beaver. Ring gonna try to finish it, and she did. And why not? Catherine Ring was nearly unstoppable in that match tonight as the Bruins get win number 32, and they go to 1-0 in pool play. We'll take a timeout. We'll wrap it up after this. Well, the number 1 seeded Bruins did what a number 1 seed's expected to do. They knocked off number 8 Randall, and they did it in straight sets, 25-16, 25-17, and 25-19. Bob Jones goes to 1-0 in pool play. Number 8 Randall drops to 0-1. The Bruins back in action tonight at 6 p.m. here on court number 1 as they'll take on the champions of the Mideast region, number 5 Johnson University, Tennessee. Again at first serve, scheduled for a 6 p.m. start. Number 8 Randall will take on number 4 Emmaus in a do-or-die must-win situation tonight at 6 p.m. That match will be played on court number 2. Coming up here on court 1, it'll be number 2 Maranatha, number 6 Toccoa Falls, and again, it's same scenario. The Screaming Eagles have got to win and knock off Maranatha if they want to have any hopes of playing in that national semifinal. Coming up on court 2, it'll be number 3 Geneva and number 7 Arlington. I can give you an update on the other end of the floor. Number 4 Emmaus, number 5 Johnson tied at 1 set apiece. They are in the third set. Number 4 Emmaus leading Johnson by the score of 21-17. Bob Jones with the win, goes to 13-0 against Division II schools this year. They have now won 16 in a row, and they improved to 32-5. Randall University, the Saints out of Moore, Oklahoma, the Southwest region, they dropped to 17-19. Want to say thanks to these two coaches, Mike Freeman and Vicki Denny. Want to say thanks to the folks that help us run it tonight. Talking about Jeff Carr, Dan Boone, David Lurdy, our on-site cameraman Caleb Skaggs, and our on-site statistician Mr. Kent Delozier. Hope you enjoyed it half as much as we did bringing it to you. Bob Jones a winner in straight sets, 25-16, 25-17, 25-19. We'll step aside, catch our breath. It's number 2 Maranatha, number 6 Toccoa Falls. Coming up next here on the NCCAA Sports Network.